are the phony.
How did you know what I was thinking?
I know much more than your trivial thought.
As you guys know, Madam Web is the newest addition to Sony's Spider-Man universe, also known as the SUMC. This film showcased a reimagined version of Cassandra Webb, who is a character deeply entrenched within the Spider-Man franchise. Madam Web is famed for her ability to look into the future and warn her friends of impending dangers. She even made numerous appearances in various other adaptations beyond the comics, thus making her a significant figure in the Spider-Man narrative since the 1980s. The new movie marked Madam Web's live-action debut in the Marvel universe, offering us fans a fresh take on her character while drawing from a rich comic book history. Positioned within the Sony Spider-Man universe alongside titles like Venom and Morbius, Madam Web delves into the mythos of not only its titular character, but also 4 other Spider-Man related figures. By focusing on supporting characters and villains from the Spider-Man comics, the SSU continues to carve out its own unique space within the larger Marvel cinematic landscape, even with the absence of Spider-Man himself. Now, with Madam Web's inclusion in the cinematic landscape, it was about time that we covered her entire life history through various media since her character made its debut in November 1980 in the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 210. So without wasting another second, let's get right into it.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
The faith of a child.
What's that supposed to mean?
No way.
Who is Madam Web? Madam Web made her debut during the Bronze Age of comics and was brought to life by legendary comic book creators Danny O'Neil and John Romita Jr. So Cassandra Webb's profession as a professional medium is intricately tied to her unique abilities, which stem from her mutant powers rather than occult practices. Her clairvoyance serves as a remarkable offset to her numerous disabilities, including blindness, paralysis, and the neuromuscular condition myasthenia gravis. To sustain her life, she relies on the life support apparatus crafted by her husband, which looks like a spider's web. Spider-Man's first encounter with a wise psychic occurred during his investigation into the abduction of the publisher of the Daily Globe. Madam Web quickly became a valuable ally to Spider-Man, providing guidance and assistance in his endeavors. However, a confrontation with a powerful juggernaut resulted in injuries that caused Madam Web to suffer from temporary amnesia, leading to a brief lapse in her memory, including her knowledge of Spider-Man's secret identity as Peter Parker. Madam Web's run through the comic pages. Like most Marvel characters, Madam Web first made her debut in the comics, so without wasting much time, let's talk about her comic book run right from the beginning to the very end. Madam Web's early life. Cassandra Webb was born in Salem, Oregon, where she spent her formative years, despite being born blind and grappling with the challenges posed by myasthenia gravis, a neurological condition. Cassandra discovered an unexpected gift within her adversity. Alongside her physical struggles, her condition granted her remarkable psychic abilities, which she honed and utilized to become a prominent medium within her community. Leveraging these extraordinary psychic abilities, Madam Web uncovers the closely guarded secret identity of Peter Parker when Spider-Man swoops in to rescue one of her students, Belinda Bell. The perilous situation unfolds during a shady scheme at the Daily Globe newspaper, where Belinda finds herself trapped after impersonating the reclusive publisher K.J. Clayton. Madam Web's intervention and keen insight into the unfolding events ultimately led to the revelation of Peter Parker's dual life as the famed web-slinger Spider-Man. It was actually Deborah Whitman who introduced Peter Parker to Madam Web's advertisement, which initially left him skeptical, dismissing her as a mere charlatan. However, when chaos erupted at the Daily Globe, Peter, donning his Spider-Man guise, found himself in need of Madam Web's unique insight. He sought her assistance after discovering the true extent of her powers, as she aided him in unraveling the clues left behind by the criminals. Gradually, Peter's skepticism transformed into belief as Madam Web's uncanny abilities continued to prove invaluable. In a pivotal moment, she visited Peter at his apartment, revealing her knowledge of his secret identity as Spider-Man, solidifying his trust in her abilities. Once, when Spider-Man was tipped about an impending assassination upon a politician, he actually turned to Madam Web for guidance yet again. This is when Cassandra channeled her psychic connection to provide him with crucial information about the assailants' whereabouts during a marathon event, ensuring the safety of their target, politician Barney Wicker. Through Madam Web's guidance, Spider-Man successfully thwarted the assassination attempt, saving Barney Wicker and cementing his ongoing alliance with Madam Web in their fight against crime. she was almost killed by the Juggernaut. So once Black Tom Cassidy orchestrated a plan to abduct Madam Web, employing the invulnerable Juggernaut for the task. But of course, Madam Web used her precognitive abilities to foresee the impending danger and reached out to Spider-Man for assistance. Despite all her efforts, the Juggernaut succeeded in capturing her. Unaware of the life support system crucial to Madam Web's survival, the Juggernaut inadvertently disconnected her life support system and endangered her life. As Madam Web slipped into unconsciousness and tethered on the brink of death, Juggernaut callously discarded her, perceiving no further utility of her lifeless body. Fortunately, she was rushed to the hospital in time to be saved after Spider-Man arrived in time to ensure she received medical attention when Madam Web reached out to him telepathically for assistance. Later, visiting her bedside, Spider-Man discovered that Madam Web was suffering from amnesia as a result of her ordeal. Despite her memory loss, Madam Web expressed gratitude to Spider-Man for his intervention. As Madam Web recovered in the hospital, she unexpectedly provided Spider-Man with a crucial clue regarding the whereabouts of the Hobgoblin, who was wreaking havoc through various blackmail schemes. Her seemingly random request to turn on the radio led to the revelation of a pertinent news report aiding Spider-Man in his pursuit of the villain. However, several doubts remained about Madam Web's amnesia, as Spider-Man couldn't shake the feeling that there might be more to her condition than meets the eye. Madam Web in the Gathering of Five. Madam Web participated in a ceremonial event known as the Gathering of Five, which is a mystical ritual involving 5 individuals and 5 arcane relics. This ritual involved the convergence of 5 individuals, each in possession of a unique relic. When combined, these relics ushered the participants either with blessings or curses, which came in the form of power, knowledge, immortality, insanity, or death. However, the true nature of these bestowed gifts was rather mysterious, because what might seem like insanity might just result in power or knowledge. So in a twist of fate, Madam Web found herself blessed with immortality during the ritual. On the other hand, Norman Osborn, who was pretty famous among the other participants, was cursed with insanity, and Morris Maxwell, another attendee, was granted the gift of knowledge. There was also Gregory Hurt, who received the ominous gift of death. And lastly, Maddie Franklin emerged from the ceremony imbued with a potent gift of power. Madam Web teams up with the Spider-Woman team. Now appearing rejuvenated and significantly younger, Madam Web reached out to Jessica Drew and Julia Carpenter, the original Spider-Women, as well as Maddie Franklin, who had also been involved in the Gathering of the Five ceremony. Their mission was to confront Madam Web's granddaughter, Charlotte Ritter, who had now taken on the mantle of a third Spider-Woman after coming under the influence of Dr. Octopus. In a fierce battle, Charlotte was ultimately subdued, but she retaliated by draining Madam Web's telepathic abilities, causing Madam Web to rapidly age once again. But with the combined efforts of Spider-Man and Maddie Franklin, Madam Web devised a plan to neutralize Charlotte's power, and they successfully incapacitated her, rendering her unconscious and dormant. Finally, having regained her youthful appearance, Madam Web took decisive action to sever her connection with Charlotte through psychic surgery. Furthermore, she erased both Charlotte and Maddie's memories concerning Spider-Man's true identity, ensuring their safety. Later, Madam Web continued to offer guidance and support to Maddie during her teen year as Spider-Woman, but eventually the team of Spider-Women disbanded. Despite her return to an aged appearance, Madam Web presumably retained her immortality. Madam Web with Jessica Jones. During a meeting between Jessica Jones and Madam Web, Jessica revealed her recent encounter with Maddie Franklin, prompting Madam Web to recount her involvement in Maddie's origin. Madam Web then mentioned that she had utilized her psychic abilities to aid Maddie, but had since lost contact with her. As they conversed, Madam Web suddenly claimed to have a vision of Maddie in which Jessica and Maddie were locked in a deadly confrontation. Struggling to comprehend Madam Web's visions, Jessica found herself confronted with a glimpse into her own tumultuous past. Enraged by this intrusion into her personal history, Jessica abruptly left the meeting, unsettled by the revelations and the implications they held for her future. Helping Peter Parker with the animal villains. Madam Web lent her assistance to Spider-Man in investigating a peculiar gathering of villains with animal-themed personas. After delving into the matter, she uncovered a sinister plot orchestrated by Stegron to transform New York City into a prehistoric haven, utilizing a crystal obtained from the Arctic. In a collaborative effort, Madam Web and Spider-Man thwarted Stegron's ambitious scheme, preventing the city from descending into an ancient landscape overrun by dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. Furthermore, Madam Web even played a pivotal role in aiding Peter Parker in communicating with his comatose Aunt May following an attempt on her life by one of the Kingpin's hired assailants. the grim hunt which cost her life. Sometime later, Madam Web found herself caught within the Kravinoff family's evil schemes, who coerced her into aiding them into their quest to defeat Spider-Man and resurrect Kraven the Hunter. Under pressure, Madam Web unwittingly assisted the Kravinoffs in a dark ritual that resulted in the tragic demise of Maddie Franklin, who was sacrificed to bring back Vladimir Kravinoff, also known as the Grim Hunter. The Kravinoff hunters further escalated their sinister agenda by taking the life of Kane, utilizing his blood in a ritual to resurrect Kraven. However, due to the absence of the true Parker blood, Kraven could not be killed unless it was by Spider-Man's hand, complicating their plans. Frustrated by their failure, Sasha Kravinoff slashed Madam Web's throat and viciously ended her life, severing her connection to the mortal realm. In her final act, Cassandra transferred her powers to Julia Carpenter, the second Spider-Woman, ensuring that her legacy would endure even in death. Thus, Julia Carpenter inherited the mantle of Madam Web, carrying on Cassandra's legacy in the ongoing battle against evil. Madam Web was resurrected only to be killed again. Years later, Madam Web was unexpectedly resurrected by the Jackal and found herself in the service of New U Technologies. Here, being tasked with a crucial mission, Cassandra was assigned to track down a hacker attempting to breach New U's security and expose the Jackal's confidential activities. Despite facing telepathic interference that hindered her efforts, Madam Web provided a detailed description of the hacker's appearance to the Prowler, another operative of the Jackal who ultimately located the culprit on Alcatraz Island, thus revealing the hacker to be none other than Julia Carpenter. Following that, the new Electro sought Madam Web's assistance in locating the missing Prowler, who could not be tracked after he left for a mission. Realizing that Electro wanted to kill Prowler, Madam Web refused to cooperate and thus endured Electro's aggressive interrogation, who electrocuted her in an attempt to force her compliance. Later, when a New U headquarters safety was compromised, Madam Web found herself abandoned in the chaos while everyone else evacuated, succumbing to the cellular decay caused by her refusal to ingest the stabilizing pills utilized by the Jackal's cloning process. In her final moments, Cassandra managed to convey the location of the Jackal's second hideout to Julia Carpenter before succumbing to the decay once again, thus concluding her journey.
Behold, I am sending him to a jail. The authorities will...
Madam Web's marvelous story in Spider-Man, the animated series. Here, Madam Web was an exceptionally potent cosmic entity who originated from an alternate dimension and was endowed with powerful abilities beyond mortal comprehension. She could navigate across vast distances on Earth and even traverse alternate dimensions by being able to teleport herself or anyone else. Madam Web also wields telepathic prowess, allowing her to establish mental connections with others and communicate across great distances. As a skilled psychic, Madam Web possesses the extraordinary gift of precognition, granting her glimpses into both the future and the past, which allows her to provide invaluable insight into unfolding events. Moreover, Madam Web harbors a degree of reality warping abilities, albeit limited, affording her the power to influence and shape aspects of reality to a certain extent. And just like Beyonder, she can also shapeshift into anyone she wants. In her cosmic endeavors, Madam Web served under the tutelage of the Beyonder, a being of immense power and influence in the vast expanse of the cosmos. Their cosmic duties took a pivotal turn when they became aware of the existential threat posed by Spider Carnage, an alternate reality incarnation of Spider-Man bent on annihilation. Recognizing the dire stakes, Madam Web and the Beyonder embarked on a mission to prepare and empower various Spider-Men hailing from alternate dimensions, uniting them in a collective effort to safeguard the very fabric of reality itself.
You must first overcome the self-pity that threatens to end your career.
Madam Web trained Spider-Man. Madam Web later made a decisive choice to mentor Spider-Man from Earth 92131, intervening at a crucial moment when Peter Parker contemplated renouncing his role as the Web Slinger. In a chance encounter within a shadowed alley, Madam Web called Spider-Man into her ethereal parlor, where his iconic costume materialized upon him by mystical means. At this mystifying setting, Madam Web imparted her wisdom on Spidey, emphasizing on the necessity of possessing the unwavering faith of a child before vanishing into the ether. That very night, Spider-Man crossed paths with Maria Tena Elizondo, his biggest fan, who encouraged him by expressing her belief in his heroic endeavors. However, their encounter was swiftly overshadowed by Dr. Octopus's evil plans, who captured Spider-Man and manipulated his memories, leading him to believe that they were partners in crime. Yet, through the resourcefulness and unwavering determination of Tena, Spider-Man's true identity and purpose were restored, culminating in a victorious showdown against Dr. Octopus. In this moment of triumph, Spider-Man recognized realized the profound lesson Madam Web had sought to impart about the importance of unyielding faith in oneself. This is when Madam Web reappears before Spider-Man once again to affirm the beginning of their shared mission and also dropping a hint of an impending challenge of epic proportions coming their way. As Madam Web vanished once again, Spider-Man resolved to confront whatever trials laid ahead, fortified by his newfound resolve and unwavering belief in his abilities.
My confused young man, it's not the how you must master, it's the...
Madam Web helps Spider-Man unlock his full intellectual potential. Shortly after Kingpin turned Alistair Smythe into a spider slayer, a major confrontation unfolded on a rooftop where Smythe was dangerously close to ending Spider-Man's life. Yet, just in the nick of time, Madam Web came through, whisking Spider-Man away to safety. As they spoke, Spider-Man sought guidance on overcoming Smythe's newfound strength. Madam Web urged him to focus on the why Smythe wants to kill him rather than the how Spider-Man wanted to take him down. This echoed in his mind as he left her sanctuary. Later, propelled by the urgency of rescuing his loved ones from Smythe's clutches, Spider-Man infiltrated Crime Central to rescue Norman Osborn, Harry Osborn, and Mary Jane Watson. He then eavesdropped on Kingpin's conversations and realized that Spencer Smythe, Alistair's supposedly diseased father, was still alive and imprisoned within Crime Central. Unbeknownst to him, Spider-Man's presence didn't go unnoticed, prompting Kingpin to dispatch Alistair Smythe to confront the intruder. As they fought, Spider-Man swiftly grasped that sheer force wouldn't be enough to best his adversary. Recalling Madam Web's cryptic words, he realized the importance of strategic thinking, and with quick wit, Spider-Man redirected Smythe's attention to a large computer monitor, unveiling the truth about his father being held captive by the Kingpin. Dramatically enough, Smythe's loyalty shifted as he turned against Kingpin, moved by the revelation of his father's plight. Madam Web teaches Spider-Man to trust on the human spirit over brute force. When Spider-Man geared up to fight Tombstone, his path was abruptly intercepted by Madam Web, who reminded him of their previous encounters, where Spider-Man had faced Tombstone and was defeated on both occasions. She even cautioned him against relying solely on brute strength, asserting that certain evils could only be vanquished by the resilience of the human heart. With that counsel, Madam Web vanished like she does, leaving Spider-Man pondering the significance of her words. Around the same time, Joseph Robertson's son, Randy Robertson, joined Tombstone's latest crew, the Bandana Gang. Fortunately, Spider-Man found an opportunity to illuminate Randy about the depth of his father's love and how Robbie courageously risked his own life to shield Randy from Tombstone's clutches. Witnessing this selfless sacrifice spurred Randy to take a stand against Tombstone to save his father. In the ensuing showdown, Tombstone was ultimately subdued and apprehended. While reflecting on the events that transpired, Spider-Man gleaned a profound realization that despite Randy's descent into a life of crime, the unwavering love and sacrifice of those who cared for him proved transformative, which even motivated Randy to abandon his criminal path. In hindsight, Spider-Man grasped the essence of Madam Web's message about the belief in the indomitable human spirit and the recognition that brute force alone is not always the solution.
You must keep your friends close and your enemies.
That one time, Madam Web advised Spidey to keep his friends close and his enemies closer. Shortly after helping the authorities in arresting Cletus Cassidy, Madam Web materialized before Spider-Man once again with a foreboding message that an impending evil of unparalleled magnitude would soon test him, further emphasizing the necessity of forging alliances with unlikely comrades. She even imparted the age-old wisdom that a warrior must keep his friends close, but his adversaries closer. And then, yes, you guessed that right, she vanished, leaving Spider-Man to contemplate her words. Meanwhile, Baron Mordo was scheming to unleash Dormammu from the confines of the Dark Dimension. He seized control of the John Jameson probe and orchestrated the return of the Venom symbiote to Earth, entrusting it once again to Eddie Brock, thus resurrecting Venom. Furthermore, Mordo facilitated the creation of a new symbiote, bestowing it upon Cletus Cassidy and transforming him into the invulnerable Carnage. With his pawns set in motion, Mordo then dispatched Venom and Carnage to raid Stark Enterprises, aiming to steal their interdimensional probe for Dormammu's liberation from the Dark Dimension. Despite the valiant efforts of Spider-Man and War Machine, Venom and Carnage succeeded in absconding with the interdimensional probe, delivering it into Mordo's hands. But in an unexpected turn, Venom, having settled his debt with Mordo, renounced his allegiance and parted ways with the evil sorcerer. Following this, Spider-Man and Iron Man forged an alliance to track down Venom, Carnage, and the coveted interdimensional probe. While they were on a citywide search, Madam Web intervened, teleporting Spider-Man to her ethereal realm. realm. There, she revealed the past events where Spider-Man witnessed Dr. Kafka's decisive action as she sought the expertise of Dr. Kurt Connors to extract venom from its host. Additionally, Madam Webb revealed a cryptic image of Cletus Cassidy sitting inside an apartment and waiting for a mutual acquaintance, prompting Spider-Man to ponder their shared connections. After leaving Madam Webb's realm, Spider-Man realized who this mutual acquaintance was and raced to safeguard Terry Lee. Tragically, his efforts fell short as Carnage mercilessly drained Terry Lee's life force and ran away. Haunted by Madam Webb's counsel, Spider-Man contemplated the significance of keeping his adversaries closer. Finally, the realization dawned upon him that the friend he could rely on was Iron Man, while the enemy in Madam Webb's enigmatic message pointed to none other than Eddie Brock. Recognizing Brock's intimate knowledge of their adversary's lair from his time as Venom, Spider-Man resolved to seek Brock's aid in locating Baron Mordo and Carnage, acknowledging the necessity of leveraging unlikely alliances in the face of insurmountable evil. So, Spider-Man and Iron Man went to Empire State University in pursuit of Eddie Brock, hoping to gather some information about Carnage's whereabouts. Brock, however, understood the magnitude of the looming threat posed by Carnage, Dormammu, and Baron Mordo. He knew that Spider-Man and Iron Man would not be able to face this challenging trio alone, so Brock made a pivotal decision to reunite with a symbiote, aligning himself once more with Venom to aid their cause. Together, they ventured to Mordo's hideout, and upon their arrival, the trio clashed with Carnage and Mordo in a fierce confrontation. Despite their best efforts, Mordo succeeded in freeing Dormammu from the Dark Dimension. Yet, Spider-Man remained undeterred, swiftly taking action to reverse the polarity of the interdimensional probe. Utilizing the device, he managed to banish Dormammu back to his realm, and in a selfless act of sacrifice, Venom propelled himself and Carnage through the portal, effectively removing them from the equation. With Carnage and Dormammu sealed away, Spider-Man utilized the interdimensional probe to seal the portal for good, effectively preventing any further incursions. In a final decisive move, Iron Man destroyed the interdimensional probe, ensuring that its destructive potential could never be exploited again. Later, contemplating the events that transpired, Spider-Man grappled with the profound sacrifice made by Eddie Brock, who was once his enemy but was now revealed as a steadfast ally. The revelation struck him deeply, underscoring the significance of Madam Webb's cryptic counsel about keeping his enemies closer than his friends, as they might unexpectedly become indispensable allies in the face of adversity.
You cannot escape. It is your destiny.
Madam Webb ends her partnership with Spider-Man. So, sometime around the line, Peter started dating Mary Jane, and as Parker's life seemed to have fallen into place with his blossoming relationship with Mary Jane, he made the decision to sever ties with Madam Webb, believing that his life was now perfect. Madam Webb, however, cautioned him, mentioning that in the future, a time would come when Peter would long for her guidance. Not just that, she even warned him of the day when the two-headed monster rises from the netherworld, and he would beg for her help. Naturally, the peace Peter experienced shattered when the Green Goblin found out about his secret identity and went to kidnap Mary Jane Watson. In a harrowing battle with a Green Goblin, Mary Jane found herself ensnared in a time dilation portal, trapped in limbo. Despite Spider-Man's victory over the Green Goblin, his heartache spurred him to beg Madam Webb to save Mary Jane. To Peter's dismay, Madam Webb declined, citing his prior decision to part ways from her guidance. Spider-Man was furious and lashed out at Madam Webb, demanding she never intervene in his life ever again. Before departing, Madam Webb conveyed her intention to respect his wishes for the time being, but reminded Spider-Man of an impending great battle on the horizon, promising her return when the time called for her wisdom.
It would be bad.
Shield!
Madam Webb and the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series. In the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, we got to see the Julia Carpenter version of Madam Webb. Julia emerges as a superheroine in the episode Agent Webb, where she showcases her exceptional abilities under the mentorship of Nick Fury. Endowed with precognitive powers, Madam Webb possesses a spider-themed superhuman persona, allowing her to peer into the future with remarkable clarity. With striking red hair framing her face, Madam Webb dons a distinctive ensemble featuring a pair of goggles adorned with red lenses. Her outfit includes a crimson costume embellished with a prominent spider symbol, which mirrors the iconic design worn beneath Julia's trench coat in the comics. From a very young age, Madam Webb honed her precognitive abilities, catching the attention of Nick Fury, who swiftly recruited her as a valuable asset for S.H.I.E.L.D. She was then tasked with providing strategic insights by calculating the probabilities of various outcomes, and soon Madam Webb became an indispensable part of Fury's operations. During a critical juncture when Dr. Octopus and Arnim Zola Lola took control of the Tri-Carrier, Fury enlisted Nova's assistance to save Madam Web from falling into Hydra's clutches. However, a mishap at the abandoned inhuman city of Atarog prompted Fury to ask Nova to summon Spider-Man for aid. Together with Triton, Spider-Man rescued Madam Web from the perilous grip of carnivorous vines and relied on her guidance to locate Fury. The situation grew dire when it was revealed that Fury had been captured by Crossbones and other Hydra agents. Unfortunately, Crossbones issued an ultimatum threatening to kill Fury in case Madam Web refused to surrender. So, leveraging Madam Web's insights and their own cunning, Spider-Man and Triton planned a daring rescue, thwarting Crossbones and his cohorts before leaving with Fury to safety. Madam Web assured Spider-Man and Triton of a 99% likelihood of finding another way home, and this prediction soon proved accurate with the arrival of the Inhuman royal family. In a subsequent turn of events, Madam Web summoned Spider-Man and Kid Arachnid to Kunlun, where she orchestrated the mystical conversions with Doctor Strange's magic to manipulate the web of reality. Through this portal, Madam Web dispatched the two Spider-Men into the Spiderverse, taking them with the retrieval of fragmented pieces of the Siege Perilous they had previously shattered. Her live-action adaptation and alternate versions. Now that we have documented Madam Web's comic book and TV appearances, let's take a look at her appearances in films and other various media.
Julia, get down!
Madam Web 2024. Madam Web was released on the 14th of February 2024 and is a pivotal entry in Sony's Spider-Man universe, which is quite distinct from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and promises to be a significant addition to the franchise. Following the mixed reception of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, many Spider-Man projects were shelved, but Sony Pictures had since crafted a cohesive Spider-Man universe, with Madam Web's hero adventure being a key component. Notably, Madam Web's powers here are intricately linked to the multiverse, presenting endless narrative possibilities within the franchise. Positioned within the same universe as Morbius and the Venom films, Madam Web is set to explore rich crossover opportunities. The movie explores Madam Web's origin story, highlighting her psychic abilities and solidifying her as a cornerstone of the Sony Spider-Man universe. The film's antagonist, Ezekiel Sims, is on a mission to hunt down Madam Web and other spider people, hinting at a broader conflict looming on the horizon. But we won't spoil the details for you. Nonetheless, the introduction of the Web of Life and Destiny in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse further expands the narrative potential for Madam Web. In the comics, this web is the source of Madam Web's precognitive powers, suggesting that its inclusion in recent cinematic installments could further enrich Madam Web's storyline. Plus, who would not love to see Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney playing hero? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 2023. In this animated film, a character by the name of C. Weber appears to be loosely based on Madam Web. Ms. Weber serves as a counselor at Brooklyn Visions Academy, where she plays a pivotal role in Miles Morales' academic journey. When Miles' parents visit her office to discuss his grades and potential college options, Ms. Weber offers her guidance and support. Notably, Rachel Dratch lends her voice to the character of Ms. Weber in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
More than you can ever imagine.
Marvelous verdict. Madam Web has always been a support system for Spider-Man since the very beginning. It is almost like she is the mentor Parker needs more than ever, but I'm very excited to see how her character does in the future with her potential to really cement her stature in the superhero game. What do you guys think about the new Madam Web film? Is it a hit or a miss? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.